may be near, but late season landfalls are still very possible.
In October, from the 22nd through Halloween, we've had 8.
Like on this day in 2005 when Hurricane Wilma devastated Florida. We'll look back at the impact. Moose attack. Hear from a Utah man who says a moose charged at him unprovoked.
I wasn't sure if it was going to keep coming or what it was going to do at that point.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. Tropical storm Melissa is already causing problems in the Caribbean, problems that will only grow through the weekend. Here's a look at Melissa as it crawls near Jamaica. The National Hurricane Center says it underwent metamorphosis with thunderstorms forming closer to the center. That's a sign of it becoming better organized, and one reason forecasters believe Melissa will grow into a major hurricane. It's already causing flooding in the Dominican Republic, and with Melissa expected to move very little over the next few days, flash flooding and landslides are likely in the Dominican Republic and several other nations. Meteorologist Sydney Madison has the latest track.
Tropical storm Melissa forecast to be a hurricane by tomorrow and a major hurricane early next week, bringing heavy rainfall and strong winds to Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and surrounding areas. We're continuing to monitor this, but it does look like once it passes over that, due to this huge dip in the jet stream, we're going to watch it move back out to sea. So no threat here at all. We're going to be watching it, though, closely.
Jessica Hasbin is in the Dominican Republic with more on the impact there and the preparations for more flooding.
Here in the Dominican Republic, Melissa is already having a serious impact. Several regions are under alert due to the risk of flash flooding, overflowing rivers, and landslides. Rainfall has been concentrated in the south, where some communities are already affected. Here in the capital, the rain has been steady, and that's a concern for officials because the soil is saturated, and that's causing major flooding in different parts of the country. The National Water Institute reports that more than 500,000 people are now without access to drinking water. At sea, low visibility, small and medium-sized vessels are banned from leaving port in the Caribbean because of these dangerous waves and the thunderstorms and that poor visibility I just mentioned. In neighboring Haiti, particularly along the Tiburon Peninsula, strong winds could persist for more than a day, according to the Hurricane Center.
Well, although we're past the peak of hurricane season, there's still plenty of time for storms to form in the Atlantic. But that might not be true for the Gulf. Meteorologist Alan Strum explains.
The Atlantic Basin hurricane season runs all the way through the end of November, but for Gulf Coast states, it could be considered that the season ends a little sooner. Here's why. The water temperature. Now, normally you need a water temperature to be around 80 degrees or higher in order to support things like hurricanes and tropical storms. It's still very warm across parts of the Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, but as you look at the northern Gulf waters, we're already seeing the buoy data showing that that number has fallen below 80 degrees with some upper 70s. So as we continue to see the water cool, we get closer and closer to the end of hurricane season.
And with only 38 days left in this year's hurricane season, you might think we are out of the woods when it comes to landfalls, but that's not necessarily the case. Meteorologist Alex Cordero has more.
So first things first, where are we on the chart here? We're near the bottom, all right? We've passed the peak now, which ends in mid-October. So now toward the end of October and November, you typically don't see a lot of activity, and that shows with what I'm about to show you here with landfalling storms in the U.S. So let's work our way backward. We'll start with November. In recorded history, only 4 storms have made landfall in the U.S. The Expedition Hurricane of 1861, Kate in '85, Nicole just a few years ago in 2022, and the Yankee Hurricane in southern Florida in 1935. So that's 4 in November. In October, from the 22nd through Halloween, we've had 8. All right, since record keeping began in 1851. And you can see them all over here. Some of the more notable ones, Zeta in 2020. We've had the Gale of 1878, really cool name there. Wilma in 2005. That's a really strong one. That's South Florida. hasn't seen since. Really, Wilma was the last one that southeastern Florida has dealt with. And the one I really want to hone in on is this one, the hurricane of Halloween 1899. This was the only one of the 12 storms we've mentioned which made landfall close to home, very close to home as a matter of fact. It made landfall near Garden City on Halloween morning of 1899 as a Category 2 storm. So it goes to show you, even late into the season, it can sometimes happen close to home. Now, technically, we could add Sandy, but that wasn't a hurricane. When it made landfall in the Northeast, it was a non-tropical but very strong low. So the total is 12.
Well, one example of a late season landfall was Hurricane Wilma, as you heard, which struck Florida 20 years ago today. It was a catastrophic storm that was the most intense of all time, and it came during the very record-breaking season and memorable season of 2005.
While Hurricane Katrina dominated the headlines in 2005, Hurricane Wilma made history in its own right. Wilma followed a classic October storm pattern, forming as a tropical depression near Jamaica on the 15th. But what happened next was extraordinary. On October 18th, Wilma underwent rapid intensification. Its pressure plummeted 88 millibars in just 12 hours, dropping to 882 millibars. Wilma first slammed into Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula as a Category 4 on the 22nd before barreling towards southwest Florida. The second landfall came the morning of October 24th on Cape Romano, Florida as a Category 3. Wilma had a massive eye approximately 60 miles across, and in an unusual twist, the backside of that eye wall packed winds equal to or greater than the front. Broward and Palm Beach counties bore the brunt of the damage from Wilma's winds. The storm caused 87 deaths and $30 billion in damage. 20 years later, no Atlantic hurricane has matched Wilma's record low pressure. It remains the most intense on record in the Atlantic basin.
Well, there is a threat of severe weather today in Texas. More than 6 million people in San Antonio, Austin, and other cities face a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. A few tornadoes and damaging wind and large hail are also possible. Well, you still have a week or so to catch a glimpse of a once-in-a-lifetime comet. Here, check out this photo. You can see in the comet, it's Comet Lemon, just to the right of Mount Rainier. It's a comet that was first discovered back in January of this year. Here's meteorologist Audrey Lee.
Look up into the night sky the next few nights, and you may see a glowing green ball racing through the sky. That's Comet Lemon.
We have comets that are considered short-term comets and long-term comets. This is a long-term comet in that it's not going to come back again for more than 1,000 years.
Despite the name, it has nothing to do with the fruit. Rather, it's named after Mount Lemmon Observatory in Arizona, where it was discovered back in January. In this case, when hit by sunlight, the comet's carbon gas glows bright green, and as it moves closer to the sun, it starts to glow even more.
Colors on comets come from the materials that make them up. So when those ices evaporate, they're turning into gas, and so gases will burn in different colors.
The comet made its closest pass to Earth on October 21st, but it will continue to glow in the western sky right after sunset through early November.
You find the Big Dipper, take the handle of the Big Dipper and you follow the arc of the handle over to a bright star called Arcturus. Then you go up from Arcturus and you'll find it in that area of the sky.
Your best viewing conditions will be in dark skies, away from city lights. You may catch it with the naked eye, but binoculars or a telescope will make it much easier to find.
When you consider this comet started its journey, 1,000 years ago towards the inner, and it didn't hit anything on its way in. There's all of this stuff that it could have hit and didn't, and then we get a chance to see it, and then it's gone and we never get to see it again.
All right, check this out. Christmas Island, Australia is crawling with crabs. Millions of red crabs come out of the forest after the first rainfall of the wet season. Then they make their way to the ocean to mate and spawn when the tide recedes during the last quarter of the moon. How fast they walk depends on how long they have between those two events. The red crab migration is the biggest tourist attraction for Christmas Island. Well, coming up on the National Weather Desk, as temperatures cool, more pests start to show up indoors. We'll have a look at ways you can protect your home. And we'll have our football forecast for Friday.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We're tracking a pretty good looking day in the Northeast. Today, most towns will top out in the upper 50s to around 60. Skies will be brightest during the morning hours. We'll call it partly sunny during the afternoon. There may be a brief afternoon shower. We have a greater risk for a shower in New England during the evening hours. Saturday's more of the same. If anything, it's a little bit cooler. It's brightest during the morning. Some more clouds develop during the afternoon. Sunday, we'll have a hard time getting much above 50, so it gets cooler late weekend.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Looking dry and cool as we head through the next several days. We'll continue to see mostly sunshine, but some periods of cloud cover may try to drift across the region. Otherwise, don't expect any rain anytime soon, really. Now, temperatures are going to be up and down, but really, it's only going to be from the morning to the afternoon. Frosty to chilly in the morning, and we're going to be seeing those highs in the upper 50s to low 60s each day, and that includes Saturday and again Sunday.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. High pressure settling in as we head through the rest of this week. This will leave dry conditions for most of the southeast with a strong onshore wind flow for most of the east coast of Florida. Heading through Friday afternoon, temperatures will remain in the upper 60s across the inland Carolinas, 70s there at the coast, and staying in the low 80s for most of the northern Gulf Coast. Another warm one heading through Friday afternoon across South Florida with temperatures in the middle 80s.
I'm Tom Russell, Chief Meteorologist at CBS 21 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, in Arkansas, the fall season typically means more wildfires. A combination of dry air, fallen leaves, and human activity are all factors. Officials are now urging residents and visitors to take extra precautions. Autumn Fultz is outside Little Rock with more.
From fallen leaves to dried out grass, Saline County emergency managers say it's the prime time for wildfires.
We have what we call cured fuels. So a lot of leaves that have dropped, a lot of grass has dried out. Those conditions plus low humidity really work together to cause really a dangerous situation for wildfires.
And it's not just the fuels, it's the weather. Cooler mornings give way to drier air in the afternoon, making it easier for sparks to catch.
But after those cool mornings, we're really having low humidity. So with low humidity means all of those cured fuels that I was talking about, they really dry out, and they really have a dry palette for outside folks to burn.
Earlier this year in Saline County, we saw what damage those wildfires can cause.
We saw a huge uptick in the March timeframe with wildfires, as did the whole state. But those conditions right now would be considered very similar because it's just dry. It's dry conditions.
And one of the biggest issues, some people wait too long to report fires.
When you see smoke, make an early call. Go ahead and call 911. The days that are low humidity, just treat them as such and treat them almost as if you're under a burn ban. If you're going to do any outdoor mowing, any cutting, any brush, do that earlier in the day when humidity levels are higher.
Well, a constant environmental danger that spans the globe continues to wash up on the U.S. coast. Plastic pellets, also known as nurdles, but environmental advocates are working to eliminate them. Jesse Klinger looks into the process.
One of the Low Country's scenic sites, North Charleston's Riverfront Park, is an unfortunate landing spot for.
We are going to go on a nurdle hunt today.
Looking for a pesky environmental hazard. Nurdles are small plastic pellets that are polluting waterways worldwide,
making an invisible problem visible.
The Charleston Waterkeeper has gathered some volunteers from a group called Playdate. They're all learning an important lesson.
These are really, really easy to be ingested by marine life and then obviously transferred through trophic levels, and then if we're eating marine life, that's eating these. That's directly impacting us and getting into our systems as well.
The gathering is collecting the pellets along Riverfront Park's walkway. They then report the numbers through an app called Nurdle Patrol.
In a 10-minute pellet count, we'll find sometimes upwards in the hundreds, especially at Waterfront Park downtown. Here at Riverfront Park, there's a couple known hotspots where we find hundreds of nurdles.
On a Tuesday night, the group of about 15 find around 1,500 nurdles.
Charleston, is known for its waterways. People are out fishing, swimming, recreating, doing the things that we love our waterways for.
All the more reason Charleston Waterkeeper and its crew are out hunting nurdles.
Well, a Utah man and his girlfriend are grateful to be alive and almost unscathed after a frightening encounter with a moose on a hiking trail southeast of Salt Lake City. Leslie Duarte has the story.
It happened so fast.
Connor Young, his girlfriend, and their dogs were about a quarter mile into Rob's hiking trail in Park City when
All of a sudden, there was just a moose just barreling towards us.
Young says unprovoked, a moose chased them off the trail.
And I didn't really have anywhere else to go at that point because I was stuck in all of this brush and I wasn't sure if it was going to keep coming or what it was going to do at that point.
What was going through your head when all this was happening?
Just honestly not really much besides just trying to be safe, just a lot of adrenaline.
Ben Pearson, a ranger with Basin Recreation, says when protecting their calf or territory, moose can be aggressive.
Moose up here on the trails and in the wildlife become unpredictable. We recommend that people stay about 50 to 100 feet away.
And if you find a moose or a moose finds you on a trail,
you never turn your back towards wildlife out there because you don't know what their behaviors next might be. So you would want to back away slowly until the moose become less aggressive.
Looking back at everything that happened, what do you think you could have done differently?
I think this time of year, I think it's probably safest to leave the dogs at home.
After going through this experience, Young tells others,
just be careful. Just know, what you could be getting yourself into when you go out. Always be prepared, understand the trails that you're going to be going on and what you could encounter, and understand what to do, if you were to encounter something like that.
Well, as temperatures cool, Asian lady beetles are increasingly spotted indoors between September and November as they seek warmth for the winter. Often mistaken for regular ladybugs, these beetles can be good for keeping crop-eating aphids away, but are a nuisance indoors. Meteorologist Grayson Freund has more.
Prevention is the best strategy. We often say that chemicals are not really useful at any point with these. What we always recommend is to seal up the house as best as you can. Replace window screens with fine mesh screens. Make sure all your external vents have really good, quality screens on them. If there's any gaps in the foundation or to get under siding, make sure those are sealed up.
They can definitely be a nuisance, but these beetles aren't actually harmful to people, pets, or even your houseplants. But if you do disturb them, they might release a smelly yellow fluid as a way to defend themselves. And this could trigger allergic reactions, so it's best to not touch them directly.
So we do recommend a little bit of tolerance. They're not going to harm you. They're just going to be annoying for a few weeks, and then they'll die down a little bit, and you might see them again in the spring.
Strong scents like citrus, peppermint, or vinegar might help keep them away, but if you are noticing them inside, the easiest thing to do is to just vacuum them up.
Well, for nearly 9 decades, aviator Amelia Earhart's fate has been a mystery, but a satellite image spotted on Apple Maps revealed what could have been her lost plane. Researchers will be investigating this site in the next few weeks to determine if it is in fact her aircraft. This week on our podcast, Off the Radar, I sat down with a geographer to learn more about uncovering long-lost aircraft.
In 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan vanished over the Pacific Ocean during an attempt to circumnavigate the globe. Their Lockheed Electra disappeared without a trace, and for 88 years, their fate remained one of history's most enduring mysteries. But in 2020, a man scrolling through Apple Maps noticed a strange object in the shallow waters off a tiny, uninhabited Pacific island. That discovery has sparked what may be the final chapter in the Earhart story.
Careful analysis of the satellite imagery strongly supports the hypothesis that the Teraya object is in fact what remains of the Lockheed Electra 10 flown to Nikamororo by Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan.
The Earhart discovery is just one example of how remote sensing is transforming historical detective work. This week, we're going off the radar with Dr. Layla Character, a Texas A&M geographer who uses these same tools to find lost World War II aircraft and solve mysteries that have haunted families for generations. From the depths of the ocean to images captured from space, this is the story of how remote sensing is helping us rewrite history.
Well, you can find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And now it's time for a short break, but first, let's take to the skies over Montana.
Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. Good Friday to you. I hope you have a fantastic day as we go into the weekend. Some showers into the Central Plains. That's really going to be about our only issue as we go over the next couple of days. Clouds will thicken. Temperatures about where we should be this time of year. That rain will continue to push off to the east, be south of the Ohio River by the end of the weekend.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're into the 70s and 60s and 50s early this morning. 60s out toward the west. We're watching that moisture really build, particularly back over south central Texas. Cold front really setting up out across the region. We'll dive into the area in the overnight hours, bringing some big areas of showers and thunderstorms, some of them severe to the region. Otherwise, it's going to be a warm day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Hi, everybody. I'm Theron Zahn with a look at the forecast for the western United States. A powerful front moving into the northwest, bringing heavy rain and gale-force winds to the coast. And eventually, a second front will bring some snow to the Cascades, stretching from Washington down through Oregon and Northern California. Temperatures around the west, 82 for Vegas, 65 for Salt Lake City, 70 in Boise, 72 for Bend, and a very soggy 58 in the Rose City of Portland. That's the scene from out here.
I'm Natalie Walters, the Chief Meteorologist at Dayton 24/7 Now in Dayton, Ohio, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, now time for our weekend football forecast. Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Inching closer to the weekend, which means it is that time to take a look at some of our college and NFL matchups of the weekend. We've got some thunderstorms to contend with in Norman, Oklahoma. As Ole Miss is in town taking on the Sooners, we'll see temperatures in the low 60s. As we head up to Michigan at Michigan State in East Lansing, this is going to be a chilly game, a night game at that, with kickoff temperatures around 46. And the Mizzou Tigers visiting Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee. Looking good. We'll see a partly cloudy sky with temperatures in the low 70s for a 3 o'clock kickoff. As we head into Sunday, Green Bay at the Steelers. This is going to be Sunday night matchup. Temperatures chilly in those upper 40s. We are dry for the Broncos game as the Cowboys are in town in Denver. 70 our temperature there. And in Philadelphia, we're looking at the Giants in town taking on the Eagles with temperatures in the mid-50s. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily Gracie. Make it a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.